Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be making a new batch of my pain remedy, but I'm going to be making it as an extract rather than a true tincture. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But the first thing I'd like to do is share with you a couple of books that I recommend. I think these should be the top 2 books in your library. This is my personal opinion, for anyone who's getting into herbs, into making their own herbal teas and tinctures and anything else like that. And the first one is Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. And in here she talks about a couple of different ways that you can make tinctures. I tend to go more by the Rosemary Gladstar method. I've just always been sort of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person, and I just make my tinctures and extracts just whatever sounds good to me. But if you want to be more exact, more precise on your tincture making, then I still think you should have this book, whether you want to be that way or not. Amy Field's book, The Homesteader's Herbal Companion. Excellent book. Now, Amy does things when she talks about her tinctures, she's more exact about weights and measurements. And if you're that kind of person that would prefer that, then you're going to really like her book for that. So I still recommend having both books on hand. Both are very, very great books all the way around, and I enjoy them both. Now me, again, I just kind of have my own way of doing things, and I'm always all about experimenting. And before I get into the herbs I'm going to use, keep in mind there are many different great herbs out there that you can use for pain. Some of them are cayenne pepper, turmeric, ginger, and white willow bark. Now I may be trying a couple of those in my pain extract that I'm going to be making today, but I'm going to start with the herbs that I haven't mentioned yet that I already grow. And this is why I like to use these, because these are herbs that I can grow quite well, and they work very well for me on top of that. And so let's get started, and I'll explain what I've got going on here. So right here I have some dried catnip. That's from 2016. I have some dried echinacea leaves and flowers, and some dried feverfew. This one's also from 2016, and these are from 2017. And so what I like to do with my herbs for these, what I've experimented with that works pretty good, is to go 1 part to each. Now that would be the simplest method. You could do 2 parts feverfew and 1 part of each of these. I like to use equal parts of each, because they're all going to have their own different ways of helping with pain. One way that catnip helps that's different from the other two is that it has more sedative properties, so that if your pain, like your headaches and stuff, are caused from stress and tension, the catnip is going to help with the pain in that way. The catnip could also be used in conjunction with valerian, because valerian is also very good at helping with pain in the form of relaxing the muscles. And I have a separate tincture that I make just for that. I believe this one is actually a tincture, and it's made with valerian root, lavender flowers, and I can't remember what else, but this is very effective at helping with relaxing my muscles and helping me to also be able to sleep well if I ever have troubles. Now I don't actually use this one very much, and sometimes I'll use it in conjunction with my pain and anti-inflammatory tincture. And these ones, yes, are true tinctures. They are made with 80 proof alcohol. I used vodka in these. And then this one is my antibiotic tincture. I'll also be doing a video on that one separately down the road. So what I'm doing is I'm using dried herbs. Now, Rosemary Gladstar uses fresh herbs. I had read before that dried herbs are better because you can get more in there. You're going to be able to extract more of the benefits into your solvent because you've already removed all the water from it. So it's not getting watered down. But you can use fresh herbs for this, especially if you're going with the alcohol method, the tincture method of making your extract. So in case you're confused on tinctures versus extracts, a true tincture is one that is made with at least 80 proof alcohol and above. And typically when I do that, I always use vodka because it's the cheapest thing that I can find. However, vodka is typically made with genetically modified ingredients unless you get, I believe it's Absolute vodka that is made with non-GMO ingredients. So you may want to look into that. Now, let me get to doing this parts, and I'm going to explain what I'm using as a solvent today and why I'm switching to that. Now basically what I like to do is just fill my jar most of the way up to about here with whatever herbs that I'm using so I can make a very strong extract. Oh, and if I didn't finish saying it, an extract is anything else. It's using glycerin, it's using vinegar, it's using wine. So that's the difference. All are effective. A tincture is just going to give you a stronger result where you need less of it at a time. Okay, so I'm starting with a 1/4 cup of each, or excuse me, I'm starting with a 1/3 cup of each of my herbs, just to get started here, roughly. I hardly ever even use measuring cups when I'm doing this. I usually just start pouring them into the jar. Okay, I think I'm going to put about a pinch of each, one more big pinch of each in the jar. Okay, and there we have it. I've got my jar filled. That's as full as I like to do it when I'm doing the tinctures or the extracts, when I'm talking especially about medicinal extracts. All right, and today I'm going to be using my own homemade grape wine, and that is going to be my solvent in this. And that's going to extract all the good stuff from my herbs that is going to give it its pain relieving properties. And normally when I do this, I use a quart jar and make a much larger amount at a time. But because this is also a bit of an experiment, I want to see how it turns out, I decided to start with a pint jar. Besides, I still have plenty of my pain tincture from the last time I made it. So as you can see, I just keep pushing the herbs down in there and then pouring more of the wine, of the solvent, over it, because the herbs are going to absorb the liquid, you know, and then you're working out all your bubbles and stuff like that. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll set this aside for a while, go put it in a storage area that I'm going to have it extracting in, and then check it and then probably add more to it later on. Okay, that's good enough. Now I'm going to put on a tight fitting lid, and you want to make sure, especially if you have several different extracts going, that you write on here what it is that you've got in here. You can write either the exact herbs, you can write your whole measurements that you used, or just, for me, I'm just going to put pain extract, and then I'm going to put the date that I started it so that I'll know when it's ready. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you why I'm switching back to making extracts over tinctures, because I did used to make a pain extract quite a bit using homemade vinegar, and using the wine. As far as a medicinal extract, this is going to be my first time doing it this way. I have a feeling the flavor is going to be better than that of the vinegar, and of course not near as alcoholic as using the vodka. Again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, because it's an extract, what this means is that I'll be taking more of it than when I do the tincture. So when I'm taking the pain tincture, it's going to be anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon. Whereas when I make it with the vinegar, like I've got several different vinegars going here, I take a whole shot glass full. So I'm going to take this much, which is approximately about a 1/4 cup. So if you're With the wine, I'm guessing I'm gonna have to find out when I go to try to use it. I'm going to start with maybe a tablespoon or so and see how that works for me. What I'm hoping for in my finished product is that it will be stronger as far as its medicinal properties than using the vinegar, so that I don't have to take as much as at a time, though I'm pretty sure I'll need more than what I would need if I was using an 80 proof alcohol and up. Now, my reason for going with the wine or the vinegar even is because it's going to be far cheaper and more sustainable for me. For example, all these vinegars that are sitting here right now, these are all floral vinegars I've got going right now. I've got calendula rose, I've got rose lavender, and I've got just plain calendula. And I did just do a video on making the calendula vinegar, the calendula alone. I'll go ahead and link to that right up here. But I do make fruit vinegars with my own apples and whatever other fruits that we come in contact with that, you know, maybe we buy in bulk or something. I will make vinegars with those as well. So vinegars, the only thing I need to buy for that is the cane sugar that I use in it. And if I had enough property, I would try growing sugar cane or something, or keeping bees, because you can use honey for these too. You don't have to use cane sugar. The point is, the idea is I'm trying to make these things as sustainable as possible. There are locals around here that do have honey I can always barter with, and I have done that many times. But for now, I'm depending on the cane sugar, and that's the last thing I need for making vinegar or even for making the wine, because I've made the wine from my own apples and also from my own grapes. This particular batch is from the grapes from last year. I first made a bunch of grape juice and then eventually turned it into wine. Now this year I think I might try making a batch of wine using the fresh grapes without cooking them down into a juice first, just to see how it turns out. But at any rate, all I need still to do that is sugar, and it's so much cheaper and more sustainable than having to depend on buying store-bought vodka, because we don't have a still right now, though we're considering making one just for the sake of being able to make high-proof alcohols for making tinctures and all that. Now here's the other issue. I'm looking at eventually I'm going to be having grandbabies, and if I'm taking care of my grandbabies and they've got some kind of aches and pains or any sort of ailments, I want to have a pretty good extract done using either glycerin or vinegar or something that I could get down them that's going to help with whatever it is they're dealing with, that's also does not have alcohol in it at all. So getting everything converted back to making it more in an extract form that can be completely alcohol free, or even at least using the wine, I'm better prepared for taking care of ourselves, for also in helping children, whether it be my own grandchildren or somebody else's children, in dealing with it, whatever their issue is. And please keep in mind, I am not a licensed herbalist, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not licensed in any of these things, I'm not a doctor, I'm just a simple person who's learning these things as she goes and has been studying this kind of stuff for quite a few years on my own, and just sharing with you what works for me, and hoping to get people who are looking to get completely off of big pharma drugs, whether it be prescription medication or over-the-counter drugs, giving them a jump start into, or some inspiration to help people to become more healthy and free from big pharma drugs. So unlike your big pharma drugs, especially when you're talking about pain, the more you take it, the more you need for it to work. Thus, the more detriment is going to be on your body. When it comes to natural remedies, at least what I found is that the more you start using them, the less you actually need them. So it's pretty great. So anyway, growing all my herbs here in this pain tincture are ones that I've grown myself, and then so all I really needed in this, and then the solvent made from grapes from my own grapevines. So the only thing in here that I had to buy was the sugar that went into making the wine in the first place. And remember, be watching down the road for more videos. I'll probably do another one on my my sleep and muscle relaxer tincture, which I'll probably convert again to an extract, and the antibiotic, the natural antibiotic. And this is also from something grown here in my own garden. This is from stuff grown mostly in my own garden, and another one I just started growing that I hope will take off for me. So it did make it through this year, but we'll get to that in another video. And I also have my own elderberry syrup recipe if you'd like to check that out for coughs, colds, flus. And I made way too much of it last year. We hardly ever used it. So I'll go ahead and link to that video right up here, and we just don't get sick that often. In fact, the only time we ever used it was if I just started to get a little bit of a scratchy throat. I just would take a little bit just to kind of, you know, just to kind of stave things off, you know, stop it right at the pass, and that always seemed to work. So we have not had a bad cough, cold, or flu in a long time. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.